What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make stencils to use on your custom shoes. I am working on a pair of basketball shoes for a D1 basketball player at North Dakota State University, and I have to lay some stencils down on the side, so I'm going to show you guys my process and how you can do it too. Okay, so here's what I got so far on this pair. I put the green and yellow down so it was an all white shoe, and here's the mock-up I have designed for it. So I need to go ahead and I need to add this logo right here and this logo right here. So I'm going to show you guys how I can do that. Okay, to start off, I do use this machine right here. It's the Cricut Explorer Air 2. It's an older model. I've been using this one for like 6 years, but it works really good. So if you're looking for a good stencil machine, I would go ahead and go with Cricut. They're pretty affordable actually, and they work really well. This one has literally lasted me 6 years. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need some sort of vinyl. I use some Cricut premium vinyl. There's so many different, this is a little bit more expensive, but there's so many different types of vinyl. Just get removable vinyl, and Oracle is a really good brand. There's so many different ones you can use, but you're gonna need some vinyl and then some transfer tape, which is also a brand that you can just go on Amazon, look up transfer tape. I use 405 Basics standard grip transfer tape, and it works really well as well, but also something that varies. There's tons of different brands, but you're gonna need that as well. So these two things. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure how long I want my stencils to be, or how big I want them to be. So we're gonna go ahead and measure this side first. And I want it to land right about here, so about 5.5. And then this one, I'm gonna go for height on this one. And we're gonna get 3.5. So then I'm gonna open up my Cricut app in my phone, and I already cut the stencils out, but I set the length, so we have 5.5, and then we have 3.5. And then what I'm gonna do is, I'll show you why I have two stencils for the same logo. It's two different colors I'm gonna be spraying, so I wanna have a multi-layered stencil, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But pretty much you hit make it, you connect Bluetooth to your Cricut machine, and then this will cut. So we're gonna have a vinyl sheet that looks like this. And I'll show you guys what that looks like in a minute. So the next thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna take your Cricut mat, and this is just a sticky mat that comes with the Cricut machine, and you put your vinyl on here, which can be a little bit tricky sometimes if the vinyl was rolled up. And also I need a new mat, so this one's not the stickiest, but should be good to go. Next thing we do is we bring this on over to the stencil machine, and if you have it hooked up and you hit like go on the app, or you have it hooked up and you say make it, you click the words make it, you load it right here, and it just loads in by itself, and then this should start blinking any second now. Sorry, kind of hard to see. That blinks, you just hit go, and the rest should go ahead and just show you that it's preparing and that it should start cutting. They usually don't take too long depending on what you're cutting, but then you just wait. Also, make sure this dial is set to vinyl. I just started cutting on cardstock, or over here on cardstock, and I had to redo everything because it started folding weird. And so make sure you actually set it to the right material. Once it's done cutting, you can take it back on over to your desk and just weed it out. Then you can go ahead and cut out your stencils. Don't cut too close to where you're gonna be painting, because you're gonna wanna have a spot to tape. Put tape around so you don't get paint on other parts of the shoe. So I just cut out all these stencils and all the transfer tapes to fit. So you just peel up the transfer tape, push this down, and you're just gonna lay it over the top. And then you're gonna make sure it sticks well. And you're just gonna do that with every stencil you have, or every stencil you're gonna place down. So you can transfer. I'm not actually using all these at once, but might as well just stick them down right now. And then basically these become stickers. Once you peel the transfer tape, the vinyl comes up with it. And I missed the spot right there, but that's okay. Last one, perfect. So you're just gonna wanna make sure those are on there nice. You can use something to push down. I actually have this that I just used to make sure it sticks well. Otherwise you can just make sure you push with your fingers if you would prefer to do that, but either or works. And then I'm actually gonna start with this stencil here. So it's basically just a sticker, then you just peel this till the backing comes off, like so. And then you have a perfect outline to lay down on your shoe. And I'm gonna show you that too, but this part takes time and patience. So like I said, this part is gonna require patience, but basically you're just gonna line up wherever you wanna put your stencil. So bear with me for a moment while I actually make sure this is placed well. This part can be tricky. I'm gonna kind of just eye it up with this other stencil too to make sure it's where I want it to be. That should be pretty good right there. And you're just gonna stick it down the best you can. But it does take patience, like I said, because you're just gonna peel one side and it takes a really long time because you're just gonna constantly be battling with it. Especially, I'm not sticking a leather surface, which is usually best. This is leather, but like this part is mesh, so it's harder to do this on mesh, but I've done this a lot. This stencil could very well take me 5 minutes to actually place down. As you can see, this is as far as I am, and I've been working on it for at least 30 seconds. So you're just gonna keep working with it until it starts to peel up, and then I'll show you how to keep it down once you have it off this transfer tape. So like here, it's working really good because it's sticking to this outsole, which is flat, but as soon as I get back up to the fabric, it's gonna give me lots of troubles here. But you're just gonna keep working with it, keep peeling. It's actually going pretty smooth. I get asked a lot about stencils like this. It can be super, super hard to do this, especially when you don't have 6 years of practice. When I first started doing this, I hated stencils because I didn't know how to do it. And honestly, I just don't think I had the patience to do it, but we're almost done here. And I'm actually just laying down the stencil for the outline right now, and then I'll lay another stencil over the top of it after I spray this one, and I'll show you why. Well, I'm just doing 2 different colors, so it's a multi-layered stencil. And we're off. So as you can see, it's not completely sticking very well, and that's okay. I have a thing I can show you guys that I use. I just use a heat gun or a hair dryer, and I heat up those areas, and then I push down, and it helps it stay to the material. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tape around the outside so I don't spray on any parts of the shoes that I don't wanna get paint on. So I went ahead and did the other side off camera, but now we're ready to go ahead and show you guys a good way to airbrush these, which is pretty simple, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so the first color we're gonna be laying down is yellow. So I'm gonna set up my airbrush and get my airbrush ready to go. So you're just gonna wanna go with very light coats for the first coat. I'm gonna turn on my airbrush. Actually, no, I'll keep it off because I'm just spraying a little. So you're gonna start out in your first coat, you're just gonna go very lightly. You're gonna see in some spots it starts to come up. Just push it back down. Some materials won't hold, and that's why you just heat it up again. So if you're spraying and it's coming up, you can just take your hair dryer, which I'm gonna do real quick, and heat it up and push it back down. So don't freak out if it starts to peel up. Just try not to spray while it's peeling up. So now it's down. I'm gonna push that spot down. It's actually right here is where it's peeling up. And I'm just gonna go ahead and spray. That should be good for the first coat on this one. And then you're gonna wanna do the same thing on this other side. Heat it up before you spray it, push everything down, and then you're good to go. In between coats, make sure you let it dry for about 10 minutes and also heat it up after you're done with each one. Other than that, you can keep repeating. You can paint a coat, let it dry for 10 minutes, paint a coat, let it dry for 10 minutes. Keep doing that until you get your color that you want. Okay, we're gonna peel up the first layer of stencils because it's the color I want it to be, so I guess here goes nothing. Hopefully the lines are crisp and it turned out well. Here we go, nice. Round 2. Other side, if you do this right, your line should be crisp, pretty good, not too bad. That's what that heat gun or that hair dryer method does for you. Here it is. So now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna lay the next set of stencils on top of that, spray in, and I should have my stencil, my multi-layered stencil complete. So now that we have that part all painted up, it's time to lay down the second part of the stencil. So that's what this was made for. Just gonna line it up to where it's supposed to be. And then I'm gonna tape this all up, and then I'm gonna spray the inside of it green, and then I should have my stencil all done when I peel it up. Here we go again, about to peel off the stencil, the second stencil, to see how this green looks. So we're gonna go ahead, take the inside out. And if you do see some bleeding, that is fine. We can clean it all up. It's not gonna be perfect, especially on this material. I'm not even showing you guys. I need a airbrush needle to peel these up or something to peel it up. So yes, there's a little bit of areas that can be touched up, but not too bad. I have to touch up areas almost every time I do stencils on this type of material because it bleeds and gets under stuff, but overall, pretty good. So here's what that looks like. You saw that I had 2 stencils. So you start with the lighter color first. So I laid down the outline of the yellow first, and then you lay the second stencil on top and do the darker color. So that's what that looks like. And now I have to go ahead and do it on this side as well. Putting the stencil on, I did off camera because, well, it was a nightmare. I just didn't have the patience to film it all. But also a good tip when doing stencils is to build a huge tape shield so you don't spray anywhere where you don't want paint. I promise you, just spend the extra time taping, because I have had times where I didn't spend time taping and I painted a spot where I didn't want to paint and I ruined a shoe. So don't do that. Okay, so this one for a fact I know had some bleeding under because this stencil did not want to stay down, but we're gonna peel it up anyway and then we'll end up touching it up at the end. So let's see how this goes. I used a little bit stronger tape, so this one might take a little longer. Okay, not too bad. It did bleed. I gotta weed up the stencil a little bit more. This is a stencil yet. Actually, you know what? I'll just do it right now. It did bleed a little bit, but nothing we can't touch up. And then I had to put some white in, but not bad. And then I have to do the details in here because the stencil wasn't working in there, but not bad. Stencil-wise, I'm all done showing you guys how to stencil, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish this shoe, so stick around to see the final product. I finished the shoes and here's what they look like. Here's this side and then here's this side. I think they came out pretty sick. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys learned something, and if you have any questions for me, leave them down below and I'll try to answer them.